Today we are diving deep into the IB's approaches to learning. Now, this is a really powerful idea, but let's be honest, it sometimes struggles to make the jump from a planning document into the reality of the classroom. So we're going to look at the ideal, what's actually happening, and most importantly, how we can bridge that gap.
So let's start with a big question. Think about it. In a world that is just overflowing with information, what if we shifted our focus? What if, instead of just teaching content, we taught the actual process of learning itself? That's really the core idea we're going to unpack today.
And that brings us right to the approaches to learning, or ATLs as you'll hear them called. Basically, the IB sees these as a specific set of skills that aren't tied to any one subject. Think of them as the tools students use to learn everything else. The whole point is to empower them to become independent, lifelong learners.
Okay, so let's first dig into the ideal vision for these skills. Why is teaching students how to learn more important right now than maybe ever before?
Well, a huge piece of the puzzle is the rise of AI. Artificial intelligence can spit out content in a split second, but what it can't do is replicate those uniquely human skills, things like ethical judgment, deep critical thinking, or real honest collaboration. And those are the very skills the ATLs are designed to build.
So these ATLs are broken down into 5 key areas. It all starts with thinking skills, and this is way more than just memorizing facts. It's the ability to analyze information, to create something new, and, this is crucial, to reflect on your own learning process. That whole idea of metacognition, or thinking about your thinking. And that leads perfectly into the next one, research skills. How to find information, sure, but more importantly, how to critically evaluate it and then use it ethically in a world where we're basically drowning in data.
Of course, finding amazing information is kind of useless if you can't share it, and that's where communication skills come in. This isn't just about talking, it's about listening, interpreting what you're hearing, and expressing your own ideas in a way that actually connects with people.
This is directly connected to social skills, which are really the heart of collaboration. We're talking about working together, navigating disagreements, and building the kinds of relationships that make incredible teamwork possible.
And the skill that really underpins all of this is self-management. You can almost think of this as the operating system for learning, knowing how to organize your time, how to push through when things get tough, and how to manage your own state of mind. So altogether, these 5 skills create this incredibly powerful toolkit for any learner.
Okay, so that's the ideal, right? This fantastic framework of 5 essential skills. But how does this actually play out in the real world? Well, research from the IB on how schools are implementing this stuff reveals a really fascinating story, and it basically breaks down into 3 different kinds of schools.
First up, we've got the tick box approach. Here, teachers, they do their duty, they list the ATL skills in their unit planners, but that's pretty much where it stops. The skills aren't really woven into classroom activities, and a lot of teachers say they're just not sure how to teach them explicitly. And what that means is students hardly ever get to actually practice them.
And this quote from a middle years program student just perfectly captures the confusion this creates. They're being told to reflect on skills they never consciously practiced, and it leaves them thinking, wait, how do I know if I even learned this? It just shows the total disconnect.
All right, the second model is what we'll call the implicit approach. Now, this is a step up for sure. Teachers are designing activities where students are using ATL skills. But, and this is a big but, the skills are rarely named or talked about. So the learning ends up being more accidental than intentional.
And this student quote is so revealing. They get that they're using the skills, but they don't see the point in making it explicit. The huge missed opportunity here is that metacognition piece we talked about. Students aren't getting the language they need to understand and take control of their own learning process.
And finally, we get to the integrated approach. This is the gold standard. In these schools, the ATL skills aren't just in the unit planner, they are explicitly taught, they are practiced, and they're reflected on with students all the time. And maybe most importantly, these schools plan for skill development vertically, making sure skills build on each other from one year to the next.
This teacher's quote just says it all. You can hear the intentionality. The planning is deliberate, it's forward-thinking. It's not about ticking a box for this one unit. It's about asking, what skills do my students absolutely need to succeed, not just next year, but in life?
So it's pretty clear there's a gap between the aspiration of ATLs and their actual application. The big question is, how do we bridge it? Well, the research points to a very clear path forward.
This slide really lays out the key factors. On the left, the things that support success. The number one thing? Strong teacher understanding, which is helped by tools like planning software and having dedicated coordinators. And on the right, the main barriers when teachers just see ATLs as another IB requirement to check off, and that usually happens because of a lack of training and support. So, what does that path to an integrated approach actually look like? Well, the most successful schools show us 4 clear steps. You've got to embed the skills in your planners, explicitly reflect on them with students, give them intentional opportunities to practice, and plan how those skills will grow year after year. Okay, let's just zoom out for a second. Why does getting this right matter so much? Because at the end of the day, the ATL skills, they aren't the end goal themselves. They are the vehicle for achieving something much, much bigger.
And that bigger goal is the IB learner profile. I mean, this is it. The whole aim of an IB education is to develop students who are inquirers and thinkers and communicators and risk-takers. The ATL skills are the engine that drives that development. You can't become a great inquirer without amazing research skills, or a great communicator without, well, communication skills. The ATLs are what make the learner profile possible. And that really leaves us with a final question to think about. In our own schools, in our own classrooms, are we asking students to build a library of facts that they might one day forget? Or are we helping them build a workshop of skills that they will use for the rest of their lives? The difference between those two outcomes, it all comes down to how we approach the teaching of learning itself.